Alright, what's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I did a little bit of a get ready with me. So if you guys want to see how I got this, even though it sucks, and trust me, this eyeshadow, I don't know what the hell it is, but it's fine, we're trying new things, then keep on watching. So the first thing I do when I get out of the shower, when I still have damp hair, before I even brush it, I use this Ion Color Defense Intense Leave-In Therapy, and I only put it on my hair from halfway till the bottom, because I find that if I put it at my roots, it makes my hair greasy, like right pretty much as soon as I blow dry it. And this is mostly just because I do bleach my hair. I get highlights every 3 to 4 months, so I always like to use this leave-in therapy to make my ends stronger. I then use the Detangling Shine Mist by the same brand. It's called Ion, and I spray it all over my hair, and this just really helps me brush through my hair properly. Whenever I brush my hair, I do my best to work from the bottom up. It's easier if you work from the bottom and you get the knots out at the bottom first, and then slowly move your way up in sections on your hair. And I always shake my head out a little bit right after I brush through my hair, just so that it forms into its natural waves. And I have eyelash extensions, so I usually try to brush through them a couple times as they're drying. The next thing I do is I use this moisturizer on my face. If you guys haven't seen my video where I talk about my 2018 favorites, go check it out, because I talk a little bit about this moisturizer and how it has saved my life. Next, I give my face a generous mist of the Mario Badescu Skincare Facial Spray. This is the one with aloe, chamomile, and lavender, and it's super refreshing. So here I'm just priming my face with the NYX First Base Primer Spray. And next, to prime my face, I also go in with the Maybelline Master Prime Primer in the formula Blur and Smooth. It's super nice. They also have 2 other different primer formulas, but I think this one by far is my favorite. So when I do my foundation, I always mix my foundations, as I said in a previous video. So here I'm taking the Urban Decay Naked Skin Foundation in the shade 1.0, and this is my really light shade, so I often have to mix it with a darker shade for it to be dark enough. And I'm mixing it with the Tarte Shape Tape Matte Foundation in the shade Fair Light Neutral, and I just find these two are both opposites of each other in terms of formula. One is a more hydrating formula and one is a more matte formula, so I find that they mix very well together and they create a perfect foundation for me. So I'll usually mix the 2 foundations on the lid of my Naked Skin foundation, and then I'll use a Q-tip to apply it to my face, and then I'll use a beauty blender to blend it out. So here I'm going in to do my eyebrows with the ColourPop cream gel color in the color Blondie. So I just usually shape out my brows, and then I go back in, as you'll see later on in the video, with an Annabelle just eyebrow pencil in the color Universal Taupe, just to darken up any spots that my cream gel didn't cling to. And I use the Anastasia number 12 brush to do my eyebrows. I just find that the smaller the brush, the easier it is, especially since I have very few hairs and very light hairs on my eyebrows. It just gives me the best result, and I'm able to really create a more natural hair-like strokes rather than with a bigger brush. Usually I'll go in and I'll carve out the tail first, and then I'll go in towards the front of my brow and kind of just brush upwards instead of sideways to kind of get a more natural look in the front hairs. And I always use my spoolie on the end of the Anastasia brush to brush through my eyebrows, just to keep it looking as natural and buffed out as possible. It just makes it really easy to blend the product in. here I am going in with the NYX Wonder Pencil in the shade Light. I just use this to carve out my brows and to make them look a little bit more shaped and flawless, and to just fix any mistakes I made while filling them in. And I really like using this small detail brush for this, just because I am working in a smaller area, so this is just a small detail brush by Real Techniques. So now I am going in with my all-time favorite contouring stick. It is the NYX Wonder Stick Highlight and Contour Stick, and it is in the shade Light Medium. It's like more of a cool tone brown, which I think suits my skin tone better because I have more fair skin. So I carve out my cheekbones, my forehead, my temples a little bit, and then my jawline and my nose. And again, I use a beauty blender to buff this out. I just find that it blends out way better with a beauty blender as opposed to a brush, so that's just what I've been doing forever. So next, after I blend out the contour, I go in with my Tarte Shape Tape, and it is in the shade Fair Neutral. Honestly, I put a little bit too much on here, so I ended up having to blend a lot more than I normally do because a little bit goes a long way with this concealer. I just apply this under my eyes, down the bridge of my nose, right underneath my chin, on my cupid's bow, and just a little bit in the center of the forehead. I don't really like, to be honest, a lot of highlight right in the center of my forehead because I find that sometimes it just ends up looking cakey in that one spot. And since I already do have a large forehead, I do not want to draw any more attention to it, so I usually go heavy on the contour and lighter on the highlight. So the next thing I do is I go in with my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, and I just pretty much pack on the powder with my beauty blender anywhere where I highlighted, and I essentially do like the baking process. And just by the way, this is why girls take so long to get ready. So the next thing I do is I take my Shape Tape concealer with my XO Beauty concealer brush, and I just apply that all over the lid, and then I also go in and I set it with my Laura Mercier setting powder just to make sure that everything's in place before I place my eyeshadow down. So I'm using my Jaclyn Hill palette today to do this eyeshadow look, and honestly I should have gone into this with some sort of plan, but I really didn't, so I am just completely winging it here. So if you guys are wondering what the hell I'm doing, honestly I couldn't tell you because I'm not sure either. So the first thing I do is I go in with a Morphe M573 brush. It's just a blender brush. I think it's one of the really popular ones, and I go in with the shade Silk Cream, and I just use that as a transition shade and completely just buff it into my crease. As you can see, I mean, I sped up the video a little bit, but I took a lot of time to do this just because, I mean, I'm not a professional, but I've heard that blending really helps when it comes to eyeshadow, so I just wanted to make sure that everything was really blended. And honestly, I couldn't even tell you if this shade did anything because I ended up going over it anyways with the shade Jax, I think. And actually my camera cut out, so I don't think that you guys see it. I didn't notice until after. See, I already went in with that shade and I just pretty much blended right over that transition shade and a little bit above it. And for that shade, I use the Morphe E18 to just pack the color down, and then I use the Morphe M441 to blend it out. So for the lid shade, I use the XO Beauty eyeshadow brush, and I just sprayed it with the MAC Prep and Prime Fix Plus, and I went into the shade Little Lady, and I just packed that all over my lid. I had to do a couple different layers for it to look super opaque and for there not to be any spots, but overall I think actually the pigment on this palette is pretty good. This is me being like, what the hell am I doing right now, guys? So next I went in with the M321 little detail brush into this shade in light, and I put that in my inner corners and my brow bone. And the last step to my shadow is I went in with the M441, and I pretty much just used whatever was left on my brush. I think I might have dipped back in a little bit, but not much. And I just did that on my lower lash line to kind of tie the eye look together. So here I'm just using my XO Beauty big fluffy brush to brush away all of the translucent setting powder that I used to bake. And here I went back in with the Morphe M443 brush to kind of try and blend out the top of my eyeshadow a little bit more. Here I went in with my Sephora Radiant Luminizing drops, and I did a little bit of highlighting. And again, I blend this out with a beauty blender. Honestly guys, beauty blenders are my ride or die. If I could pick one makeup tool to use for the rest of my life and I couldn't use anything else, I 1000% would pick a beauty blender. And I believe that this beauty blender is by Sonia Kashuk, but actually my favorite beauty blender is by a company that I don't think we have in Canada or the States. It's in Europe, and it's a brand called Kiko Milano. And I use that beauty blender all the time, but it was dirty, so I just wanted to use the one that I had that was clean. So here I am taking the Becca, Chloe, and Malika face palette, and I am using the bronze shade to just bronze all over my face. And then I go back in with the highlighting shade in this palette. I know I already highlighted, but I just love layering highlight. Highlight is my favorite part of my makeup routine, so I'm okay with blinding people, basically. And the brush I used here was just a Wet n Wild highlighting brush. I'm not sure exactly what it's called because it doesn't have a name on the brush, and I got it a while ago, but I got it from Walgreens in Florida. Next, I'm going in with the darker blush in this palette with an e.l.f. blush brush, and I'm just making my cheeks look a little rosy. So now I am spraying my whole face with the MAC Prep and Prime Fix Plus. So my goal here is pretty much just to like drown myself in it, as you can tell. And then I go in with my beauty blender and I just blend out any spots. Sometimes I find with setting spray it gets a little bit blotchy, so I just want to make sure that everything is nice and blended together. So here I am going in with my LA Girl Perfect Precision Lip Liner in the shade Flesh, and I'm just lining my lips. And then I'm going in with the MAC Faux Satin Finish Lipstick to just apply all over my lips. So I actually went skating this day and I didn't end up wearing this, but I'm wearing my PacSun plaid pants and just this long sleeve kind of flowy black shirt, which has sleeves that kind of go out at the bottoms, and I just think it's really cute together. I believe I got the top at H&M, but I'm not entirely sure about that. It doesn't say on the tag, so I'm sorry if you're wondering.
Alright guys, so this is going to be the completed look. I think I said this in my intro, but normally I'd probably straighten my hair or like put my extensions in and curl my hair or something. But I think I'm actually going to leave it because I don't mind the way my hair is drying today. And I'm just going to be wearing a hat anyways, so I'd rather not use heat on it when I don't have to. Thanks for watching, guys. Like this video if you want to see more like get ready with me's or more makeup videos. Comment below and let me know what you want to see in the future. Subscribe to my channel and turn your post notifications on so that you can be notified every time I post. I'll see you guys in my next video. Love you guys.